Hi and welcome to episode number 60 of Dreamers and Doers, where I interview people who follow their passion and use it to make the world better. I think that's you, Henry. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
So today we'll talk about veganism and how to be thriving, especially on a vegan diet, using a lot of movement, going to the gym, like being really active with an active lifestyle. But just to tell you, I met Henry at a vegan restaurant in Bali. So he's also a digital nomad. And I was quite impressed with your knowledge in veganism, but also in how you combine it with an active lifestyle. And yesterday we watched together the movie Game Changer, produced by James Cameron, about vegan athletes. So really breaking down that idea that you can't be thriving on a vegan diet. But as usual, I'll start this podcast with the story from my guest. So what's your story? How did you get into plant-based diets?
All right, well, let me start with this. So years ago, I had vegan friends, and they were the politest vegans you'd ever meet. They would never talk about veganism with me.
I thought all the vegans were annoying.
I wish they were annoying. That's the thing. Because if they, I'm an open-minded, very logical person. If something makes sense, I'm happy to change my lifestyle to adjust. And if they had told me earlier, if they had pushed me, told me the facts, I would have went vegan 5 years ago or more. But now I've been vegan almost 2 years.
That's very interesting, because I hear a lot of people say if that vegans are a bit too pushy in general, and that can be counterproductive.
Yeah, well, I think people should stick with their belief. Well, they change their beliefs if they're presented with new evidence. But they should be who they are. Don't be afraid. Talk about your values. Share your values. Yeah, 100%.
Okay, and so when did you become vegan?
Almost 2 years ago.
So it's quite recent.
Yeah, quite recent, yeah. And the main barrier for me in my mind was I thought vegans were sacrificing their health.
Yeah.
Because I'm an animal lover, and before, when I wasn't vegan, my actions didn't align with, the fact that I love animals. Because I thought vegans sacrificed their health.
Yeah.
But then I got really interested in nutritional science, and I realized that's completely not true. And a whole foods plant-based diet is actually the most optimal diet if you want to live a happy, healthy life.
And what was we'll talk more about that, but what was the trigger for you to do that research? Did something happen?
That's a good question. It was more slow for me. It was because I'm very interested in self-improvement and being 100%. Yeah. Living a life at 100%, improving every day.
Yeah.
And the nutrition is part of that, right? Sleep is part of that. Everything is important, but nutrition is a huge part of it. You eat at least 3 times a day. Most people eat like 10 times a day, just picking and choosing random food. So slowly, I started studying nutrition more and more, and I realized, like, wow, our society is not the healthiest in the world, especially Western countries. Heart disease is the #1 killer in the world, and that's because of diet. It's because people eat too much meat, too much saturated fat, not enough veggies.
And so you said you started mainly because you're an animal lover, and then when you found out you didn't have to sacrifice your health, that's when I
went 100%. I was like, okay, there's no reason to eat meat. There's no reason to fund, because we as consumers, we fund whatever we buy. We directly fund that industry.
You vote with your wallet.
We vote with our dollars. So if we buy steak or milk, we vote to have those animals killed and tortured for us. And if people didn't do that, those industries would go out of business. So.
And do you want to explain? So, for example, you told me a little bit earlier about how they produce milk. Do you want to explain a bit this? I think there are a lot of documentaries for people who want to self-educate, obviously, on how the, especially meat and dairy industry works. But you told me about this little story earlier.
Yeah, let's. I think a lot of people are familiar with meat and how the meat industry works. It's terrible. I just watched some footage, like Dominion is a good documentary, documents how the Australian industry, meat industry. And a lot of people don't know about dairy, and that dairy cows are pregnant for 9 months, just like humans. When they have their baby, it's taken away because, you got to sell the milk for money. If the baby's a boy, the standard industry practice is to kill him for veal as a calf. If she's a girl, then they raise her. She's going to have the same fate as her mother. And the mother's fate is you impregnate the cow, take away the baby, mother cries, you milk her, do it again, impregnate, take away the baby, impregnate, take away the baby. Eventually, a mom gives up, she has kids, they're taken away all the time, and she cries for them, and then, towards the end of her life, she goes to the slaughterhouse. So if you buy milk or cheese, which, by the way, is you don't need, it's actually very bad. Saturated fat is terrible for us as humans. We're supporting those industries if we buy those products. So dairy is probably the most unethical industry in the world, because most dairy works directly with the beef industry. Something like 70% of all dairy cows are killed for beef, or actually probably more, for most of them. Okay.
And yeah, it's true. When I read, for me, the trigger was probably reading *Sapiens* by Yuval Noah Harari, and he talks pretty well first about how animals, they're not like just machines. They have emotions and feelings, because that's something we tend to forget. I mean, we don't forget with our puppy or our dog, but we kind of forget when we have our burger in our plates, right? But I think he makes a really good point in this book. Is like for me, I like to have a beginner's mind, especially in terms of ethics. So sometimes to think about how our society behaves and be like, let's get a fresh mind as much as possible and be like, is it right or wrong? And if I was an alien coming today on planet Earth and I was watching especially how the food industry in general works, and especially meat and dairy, I'd be like, what the fuck?
You gotta be yourself, don't follow what others do.
Yeah, the thing is, it's like, for me, I didn't really have that awareness. I didn't think about it. So it's not that I didn't want to follow, it's not that I wanted to follow people, it's that I just genuinely didn't really think about how immoral it was.
Like
and he makes a really good point. It's like, in 100 years, I think we'll look at it being like, what was wrong with these guys? Like, how could they industrialize a system of torture of animals like this, the same as we look at slavery now, and we're like, what was wrong with these people?
Yeah, 100%. 100 years from now, people will look back and be like, what the hell? Same way we look back on slavery 300 years ago. Like, what are these guys doing? It was normal.
Yeah, let's try and not participate.
But we all fall for this. I mean, it's like a fish out of water. You don't realize you're in water until you come out and you die.
So we talked a little bit about the ethics, and there's I think today you really have to close your eyes if you don't want to understand the ethical issues with how our meat and dairy industry works, and also in terms of environment, there's a lot to be said there. But I think one of the main concerns, which was your concern at the beginning, is health. Like, I don't want to sacrifice my health for these ethical reasons, and especially when it comes to being a strong, manly man, lifting heavy things. Like, there's a lot of there are a lot of beliefs around, eating meat to be a man. And I know when I started eating more plants, all my friends were like, oh, you've become so weak, like you're going to be so weak. So what like, do you think you can be vegan and, be an athlete?
Okay. Yeah. So there's many points here. First of all, yeah, the meat is, people conflate eating meat with energy for some reason, which I don't. Doesn't make sense to me. Like if you think of a seed, right? That seed is going to turn into a giant tree, and it's going to have so many other seeds. Isn't that energy? Right? But anyway, that's just it's just us talking. We can talk about the science, and we know for sure, whether you're vegan or not, that eating a whole foods plant-based diet with veggies, fruits, nuts, seeds, legumes, whole grains, that is the most optimal diet for human health and for athletic performance. So we don't need meat at all.
And so for you want to be a vegan athlete?
My goal is to move as much as possible. Yeah. And in order to move, you got to fuel yourself and recover properly.
So can we go concretely, like for you want to be a vegan athlete, what is your diet going to look like? And maybe you can explain why as you go.
Yeah, let's do that. So let me get into one specific example. Let's say, like personally, I would like to build 10 kilos of muscle within a year or two. And the way I'm going to do that is, obviously I'm going to go to the gym and lift, do all the compound exercises, bench press, deadlift, squats, pull-ups, rows, stuff like that. Low rep range, like say, the science is people aren't 100%, so I would say between 4 to 12 reps is ideal per exercise.
Okay.
And progressively overload every time you go to the gym. That's the way to build muscle. And as a vegan, to fuel your workouts, we need to eat enough calories. That's by far the most important. It doesn't matter if you're vegan or omnivore, we need to eat enough calories. And we need to eat enough protein, which for athletes, the optimal level is around 1.5 grams per kilogram of body weight. It could be less for some people, could be a little bit more for others. But that's the optimal amount for athletes. And for the general population, just, not necessarily working out like crazy, but still doing a little bit of exercise, all you need is about 60, 70 grams of protein per day, which is, very easy to get from plants because all protein comes from plants anyways. Okay.
So yeah, what you were telling me is mainly focusing getting enough calories, getting enough proteins if you're going to work out and be quite active. So, question, but if you're vegan, how do you get your proteins?
Well, again, all protein comes from plants. Plants make protein from the sun, photosynthesis, and collecting nutrients. And the animals eat the protein, including us. And that's how you get protein. But we don't have to filter our protein through a dead body. We can eat the plants directly. That's how we evolved. We've always been mostly plant-based eaters as humans. Just like our primate cousins, like chimps and apes, gorillas. They all eat plants. That's the base of their diet. And we're the same. Why are we different?
And in the collective, we all often have this image of the hunter-gatherer, like chasing a lion. Do you think there's this it's a bit too much towards the meat-eating part of the hunter-gathering past?
Yeah, for sure. If you look at the evidence, humans have always been mostly plant-based eaters. We hunted when it was necessary, like in colder climates, or when, once a week or so when there was good, it was easy to hunt. But most of the diet has always been plants. But the question is, in modern society, like what can we eat to be 100%?
Yeah.
And again, that's a whole foods plant-based diet. There's no reason to add meat to your diet because in fact, the saturated fat and all the carcinogens in meat, you're not gonna live 100% if you eat that stuff.
Yeah.
And we can talk about go back to the statement about being manly, right? The common misconception is that real men eat meat. But we talked about this a little bit before. Do real men have working penises? I think so.
I think so.
I
Yeah.
think so.
Well,
A woman would like a man to have a good working penis, right?
yeah.
Well, if you eat meat, if you eat it consistently, the first sign of heart disease.
Some men too, actually.
Is, yeah, some men too. Is to have erectile the first sign of heart disease is erectile dysfunction. So if if you're 40 or so and your penis doesn't work anymore, there's a very high chance you'll get a heart attack soon, because the vein in your penis is the smallest in your body, and it'll get clogged up. So why would you want to clog up your penis when you could eat plants, especially plants high in nitrates, like beets and arugula, any leafy greens?
So is that the main problem with eating like meat and dairy? Is it to clog your arteries?
That's the main problem. Yeah, that's the number one killer in the world, right? 19 or 20 million people per year in Western countries die from their diet, from heart disease. Totally preventable disease. Vegans, it's very rare for vegans to have heart disease. You don't see vegans in hospitals having heart attacks. It's the number one killer, and it's totally preventable. That's what's really sad about this. Like, not only it's a win-win-win if you go vegan. You don't pay to kill animals. Well, of course, you still pay to kill animals. People bring this point up a lot, like, oh yeah, the farmers kill all the animals in the fields to grow crops. But if you eat meat, you're growing those crops to feed the animals, and then you're eating the animals. So it's like triple, quadruple times the amount of death that you support. But yeah, as vegans, you're not killing animals. We're not supporting the industry that kills animals. You're not polluting the environment as much, and you're healthy. Win-win-win.
Yeah. I think
it's a logical thing to do.
Pretty convinced on this. Do you think some people think you should still have a little bit of meat, or a little bit of fish, a little bit of egg, like a little bit of this sometimes, maybe once a week, because otherwise you might become deficient in maybe a nutrient or an amino acid? What do you think about having just a little bit?
Right. Well, the first thing is like us living in modern society, we don't need that. Would you like to have just a little bit of slaughterhouses and animal suffering, and just a little bit, or do you want zero? Like, what is the goal? This is the ethics argument.
On the health side, I was thinking.
On the health side, if you have a well-planned diet, there's, especially us living in modern society, there's no need for meat. Like, for example, I have access to algae oil to get my DHA. The evidence is still shaky on whether you actually need DHA or EPA for optimal health, or not. But just to be safe, I take DHA. Right. But if
DHA is an omega-3. It's meant to be good for the brain.
Yeah, an omega-3 fatty acid, good for the brain, good for the heart. It's made from. We need ALA, which comes from plant foods like chia, flax, walnuts, and that's converted to EPA and DHA. But the evidence is still shaky on whether some people don't convert enough, and whether you actually need the DHA source. But we can have algae oil, so there's no need for us to pay to support these industries. But let's say you're living somewhere where you don't have access to algae oil, then for sure, I'm a vegan, and I say just in case, it's good to eat a little bit of DHA, a little bit of fish, but depends on your situation. Most people listening to this, they have access to veggies, fruits, nuts, seeds, flax seeds, very high in ALA, and they can take B12. So there's no need for meat at all.
Yeah, so you should still supplement for B12, right?
100%. Everybody should. Even a lot of omnivores are deficient.
Yeah.
Actually, there was a story in the news recently. There was a kid, I think in the UK, who his entire diet was processed meat, like ham, bacon, and I think potato chips. It's all he ate.
Okay.
And
not a good diet?
Not a good diet. And it was very sad because he became B12 deficient, and he had a lot of problems. I think some were irreversible nerve damage and a lot of issues like that. So taking B12 is very important. If you live in modern society, the best way is to take a supplement.
Yeah.
If depends on your soil, B12 bacteria is made by bacteria in animals and in the soil. So depends. I take a supplement just in case.
Yeah.
And B12 is only the only big issue. I take omega-3 and B12. That's it.
Yeah,
everything else I get from food.
We used to get it from the dirt, as you said, and we don't eat as much dirt as we used to, which is good because we get less disease and,
for sure.
it helps, but then we miss a bit that dirt.
Yeah.
Okay. And what are your, can you tell us so after all this research, what you eat?
Yeah.
So maybe quickly a breakfast, lunch, dinner.
Yeah, let's say for breakfast, I love oats. Yeah. With some soy milk, maybe some soy yogurt, berries, some ALA from chia seeds, flax seeds.
Can I stop you on the soy milk? Because I know people tell me you shouldn't get soy milk because you get estrogen and that's going to lower your testosterone, and then you won't be as strong, especially for men.
Well, first of all, you can get real active sex steroid hormones from real estrogen from eating meat and eating dairy. You're actually eating estrogen. That'll have a terrible effect on your hormones.
Okay.
The estrogen that's in soy is phytoestrogen, which is there is no evidence to support that it lowers your testosterone in any way. You would have to eat a crazy amount, like maybe 10 cups of soy milk in an hour or something to have any negative effect. Okay. So soy is extremely healthy. It's associated with
tofu, tempeh,
soy milk, edamame, the actual soybeans. It's extremely high in protein. It's a great carb source for your workouts. Super healthy food. And all the longest living people, well, let's say East Asians, they eat soy every day. It's associated with a lower risk of breast cancer in women. It's a super healthy food.
Okay.
This is just hype. Soy is good for you.
Okay. So keep going. Breaky.
All right, that's my breakfast. Well, I eat very simple. So I'm happy with simple food. I think the way food grows naturally, it's delicious already. I don't need to use fancy spices or anything, even though spices are super healthy for you. So a lunch, for example, could be rice and beans. A little bit of spice in there, some veggies on the side, some kale, some arugula. Because again, here's a good tip for workouts. Eating beets or arugula, I think I talked about this, dark leafy greens. The nitrates in that will open up your blood vessels and give you super energy. It's a great thing to do before the gym. It'll increase your VO2 max. You will work out a lot harder from that. It's the best pre-workout you can have next to caffeine. Totally amazing.
That's good because I feel my workouts sometimes are a bit more sluggish since I stopped coffee. So.
Yeah, get a bag of arugula, rocket.
Okay.
Snack on it. It's a little spicy, but who cares? And then go to the gym. Nice. And see the difference. Your workout's gonna be a lot tougher. I mean, a lot easier.
And so you talk a lot about getting carbs. There is a whole movement at the moment, or especially in the past few years, around the ketogenic diet, which is having decent amount of fats and a lot of fat and protein, and really reducing carbs. And you're not the latest science. You feel it's a fad?
Definitely, especially as an athlete.
Yeah. Every
athlete knows you need carbs for fuel.
Okay.
If you go run a marathon, you're gonna eat carbs before. That's how human bodies work.
Well, for long distance running, some people argue that because fat is a slower source of energy, well, you can burn all your carbs. Well, if you're running on fat, you can do longer distances.
That's interesting. I haven't seen any ultra marathoners who don't eat carbs before they're
on the keto diet.
Yeah. But we know the body prefers glucose. Yeah. We're humans. Carbs are good for us. The healthy carbs. Like there's a distinction. People like to blame carbs for everything. There's a distinction between healthy carbs and bad carbs. Like, bad carbs would be processed things like white bread, cereals, sugar. Healthy carbs would be whole food carbs, oatmeal, sweet potato, all this kind of stuff.
How about white rice?
White rice is slightly processed, but it's a healthy food.
Okay.
It's not like sugar. It still has some fiber. It still has some nutrients. I mean, half the world eats white rice. Like, this is a great example. So there's like an American keto doctor, a little bit chubby, He's talking about how people should not eat white rice because it's going to make you fat. Meanwhile, half of Asia eats white rice 3 times a day, and they're all super slim. It makes no sense at all.
True. But the reason why they eat white rice is a great combination of you get energy for a low cost, but that doesn't mean it's like you would be thriving on it.
That's true. Yeah, it's better to eat brown rice because you get more micronutrients. The outer the grain is not removed, so you have more nutrition for your calorie.
Yeah. Okay.
But don't shy away from white rice. It's a healthy food. It's fine.
And so you got your information from. Can you talk a little bit about your references, like the people you follow, if people want to dig a little bit more?
Right. Sure. Some books I recommend would be, of course, Dr. Greger's How Not to Die, the China Study, Sapiens is a fascinating book.
But I'd say more on nutrition, especially. So,
yeah.
I mean, Sapiens not really.
Yeah. It's more about humans.
Yeah.
Those are the top 2 books I would recommend. Yeah. But in general, I would say it's just to not be crazy about. So many people, especially in the U.S., are crazy about their diets. Everyone's on a diet. It's more about just having a healthy lifestyle long term. The colors are the antioxidants. So if you eat your rainbow, like eat your purples, eat your blues, eat your greens, eat all of that. And that's going to give you amazing energy and a great quality of life.
And about changing your habits, though, it's one thing to tell people, you should go to the gym, you'll feel better, you should meditate, you should eat your fruits and vegetables. But life is how it is, and we're humans, it's not always that easy. For you, when you understood, okay, it's more ethical for animals, better for the environment, is going to be better for my health, was it easy to transition? Because even understanding this, it wouldn't be that easy for people. So let's say, how was it for you, and how would you recommend, what would you recommend for people who want to make that switch?
Yeah, it's tough. It depends where you are, We're products of our environment a lot of the time. So I think that's the number one reason people are not vegan, I would say.
So make vegan friends?
Make vegan friends. But it's convenience. If vegan food was convenient, a lot more people would be vegan. Yeah. Most people are busy with their lives, they don't think about these things. So make small changes, like but for athletes or anyone, replace the meat with beans. There you go. Like you get the same amount of protein, and you're far healthier for it. Just you could start small. Everyone's on their journey. I was not vegan for most of my life, and a few years ago I went vegan, and everyone's on their journey. Replace the meat with beans, lentils. Eat healthier foods. Just be conscious of your actions. That's what I would say.
I think for eating healthy food in general, there's something I like to do too. Is maybe, I don't know if you've ever done that, but like write down how you feel like 2 hours after.
That's a good tip. Yeah, I haven't done that. I should try that. Yeah, because then you can notice things that I think the human mind is good at creativity and thinking of ideas, but we're not good at storing or remembering information. So if we write down things and then look back on it, we can see patterns that we couldn't think of on our own. So that's a great tip, yeah.
Yeah, no worries.
And what foods make you feel bad, for example?
Well, for
What do you
example, I remembered when I used to eat like schnitzel with fries or
Oh, wow.
something like this for lunch and then go back to work. Like I would feel very tired.
Yeah, yeah. That's another thing. I haven't had a food coma probably since I went vegan.
Mm.
I've you know that food coma after
Yeah,
lunch.
yeah,
you're,
yeah,
"Oh."
yeah. That's so true. That's so true. I don't have
No,
these
it
anymore.
doesn't really happen.
Mm.
It's difficult. You'd have to eat a ton of food to stuff yourself. But what else was I going to say? There's one thing I wanted to say. It's that that people can change their taste buds and their taste preferences. So if you hate something now, it's not like you're going to hate it for the rest of your life.
That's such a good point.
You're not
Yeah.
stuck with your preferences your whole life.
Mm.
You can change it. It's totally malleable. So one trick I have is, like, let's say there's a healthy food that you really want to eat because you know it's going to improve your quality of life, but you hate the taste of it. If you force yourself to eat it for a few days, maybe you'll start liking it.
Mm.
You know, you'll grow the gut bacteria that
Yeah.
likes to eat it. Your taste buds will adjust.
That's so interesting because on the taste side, it's so true. Like when I made really a big commitment 2 years ago to eat super healthy, at first it was quite a lot of discipline, to
Yeah.
be fair. But today, like if you ask me, do you want that like kind of burger with meat or like that quinoa and pumpkin salad?
Yeah.
Like I go for the healthy choice like straight away. I don't need. It's funny, like when I have my old friends here in Paris, they'd be like, "Oh, you should," like making fun of me almost, like I'm really starving for the pizza, but I'm having the salad. But I just change my taste.
Yeah, I'm totally the same.
Mm.
Yeah, I feel empty when I eat something like some sugar or some processed snack because I'm craving the nutrition of like pumpkin or quinoa.
I think that's where the environment is so important when you start, because that's when you need the motivation and the discipline.
Yeah.
And being in Australia, for example, was way more helpful. I think if I was in Paris, I would not have done the first step, which requires the discipline. Then now when I come back here, I'm good because I don't need that discipline as much anymore.
Yeah. For me, for people it depends. Make your environment consistent with your goals. Don't keep snacks in the house that you're not good for you.
Yeah.
Not good for your quality of life, and change your environment to your what you want to accomplish. The guy from Atomic Habits talks about it. It's a great book.
Yeah. James Clear.
Yeah.
Great book. Loved
Yeah.
it. Let's talk a little bit about movement, because for example, here we're sitting on the floor as we talk to
sitting.
you, and I feel there's like a quite a big trend at the moment of what we call movement, which is doing kind of the movement we used to do that we don't do as much anymore with our lifestyle of sitting in front of a laptop and in a room and not moving as much. So why are you so interested in movement?
All right. I think in general, I'm interested in, like I said before, living life 100%.
Yeah.
And this movement is part of it. And also, there's so many things that are weird with society. And if you have an open mind and take a look, like you said, if you're an alien visiting Earth, like, how should you live? And one example is chairs. Like, where did chairs come from? I don't even know. I need to look into it. But why do we sit in chairs? If you watch kids, they sit on the floor, They're having fun on the floor, and it's much healthier for us.
Okay.
Cultures that sit on the floor and squat and have beds that aren't so soft, they don't have back problems. Another way to put it is to be more, we've been evolving for millions of years.
Yeah.
And 100 years is not going to change us fast enough. So we should live more like how we've been living in nature, in that sense. How we've been moving, how we've adapted to survive.
Okay. Well, we can see a lot of stand-up desks, for example. What recommendations? So you can come to work and sit on the floor if you're fine with other people's.
Yeah, I prefer to sit on the floor or stand. I think the important thing is to always be moving.
Okay.
Don't sit, after 30 minutes, change your posture. Maybe if you were standing, do a little squat or sit on the floor a bit or cross-legged and then stand up again. Always be moving.
Yeah, big one for people working in offices. Like I used to be one of them, slouching. So having your shoulders forward and took the head too much in front, and that's really bad for your shoulders.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, a good thing to do is to squat. So if you're sitting at your desk and your HR doesn't allow you to have a standing desk, first of all, in the long term, I would quit that company. But if you can't, when you're sitting after 30 minutes, get up.
I think people like us, we couldn't work anymore in a company. We'd be like too weird.
Or a weird company.
Or a weird company.
Squat, squat for a minute or so. Get back to baseline, and then go back to your chair if you need. Just take breaks. Yeah, don't sit for too long. It's not good for you.
That's good.
That's my advice.
Maybe if you get a coffee once a day, wait squatting in the line.
Sure. In the Asian countries, it's quite popular. Yeah, in the West, it's a little weird, but hey, be yourself. Maybe you'll start a movement that way.
And working for creativity.
Oh yeah.
That was a big one for Steve Jobs.
Oh, well, I'm going to talk about something we haven't talked about with you. So when I was like 12 or so, as a teenager, I grew up in this nice little community in the U.S. We had a house, we had a park nearby. I could walk to my friends, and then we moved for my father's work to this place where I could not walk anywhere, and I was like, it was difficult because I enjoy walking, I enjoy seeing things. So I started to research places where I could walk, live a walkable lifestyle, have street life. And that made me really, really interested in going to places like this. Because walking is, I don't know what it is. I think as humans, we've walked with our tribes for millions of years together. And it just stimulates your creativity. One of my favorite things in life is to walk for miles and miles and just think and look what's happening around me, either in nature or a city, like either or, wherever it's comfortable. Yeah,
there's something around walking and creativity. I think there are some studies around it.
And I have a huge passion for cities that are designed for walkability. The U.S. has a major problem with this. Here in Paris, it's not so bad. You can walk, and it's beautiful. But in the U.S., we have a few cities that are like that, like New York and small towns like that. But in the most part, the suburbs, you need to have a car. You can't even walk to buy groceries. It needs to change. It makes me happy when I'm walking. And I'm not saying the cities are better. I actually prefer small towns in nature. But I want a walkable small town where you can walk, to the local cafe, see your friends. There's just something about that. It makes you feel more creative, more energized.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a big passion of mine. Walkability, for sure.
And there's a question I like to ask all of my guests, which is, what's the impact you want to have in the world?
Oh. Well, I would like people to stop funding industries that torture animals. That's one impact, hopefully. I think it's a genuine, concern I have, and I just want people to wake up and live their lives. Most people are animal lovers, and just align your actions with your values. I guess
why do you think people don't do it? Do you think it's because they're not aware, or somehow?
I think the number one problem is ignorance. People are not aware.
Okay.
So that's where podcasts like this come in, sharing knowledge. I think number two is convenience. So like society, especially American society, it's harder to be healthy than unhealthy. Like all of society is geared towards wanting you to be unhealthy. Yeah. You can't really walk. There's no fast food, healthy options, really.
Well, you're a way better consumer if you're unhealthy, to be fair.
True, yeah. But it could be, the system could be the opposite. It could be healthy. It's just convenience is the problem, you know. But it's changing. There are more plant-based options available.
Yeah.
So I think
definitely
I'm optimistic for sure. And I just want to share my ideas genuinely, and hopefully it helps people. It's my goal.
I'm sure.
It's my impact.
I'm sure this would help a lot.
I hope so.
Yeah, that was great information, and especially more if you're new to this.
Yeah, I guess to reiterate, if you're thinking about going vegan, just replace meat with beans.
Simple tip.
Simple tip. You'll be far healthier. But there's so many vegan options now. It's just crazy. You know, vegan ice cream everywhere. You know, it's not the healthiest thing, but it's healthier than normal ice cream. So it's a small change in the right direction.
How can people follow you?
I use Instagram a lot, at Henry Snow Show. Mostly Instagram. Yeah. I have a website, henrysnow.org.
And what's next for you?
What's next for me is I'm going to be sharing more of my thoughts, more writing, more podcasts, and more videos.
Nice.
Just share my ideas.
Yeah, well, can't wait to keep following you, Henry.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is there anything you wanna add before we wrap it up?
What else can I say? Well, go more plant-based, move more, have an open mind, and have an open mind. I think that's the best advice. Don't assume because society does something that it's right or normal. Just have an open mind.
Love it, bro. Tradition is always finished with a big warm hug.
Thank you.
Thank you, Henry. Thank you to everyone who took the time to listen. And I'll chat to you soon.